Hey, 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 hey. We gotta start over. Instagram. Hey, hey, hey. This is your girl, Trail Ravenel, life and marriage transformation coach, wife success coach, helping you to improve communication and maximize the intimacy in your marriage, helping you to deal with your crap so that you can successfully build a winning marriage. I'm excited tonight, as you can see. We're refreshed now. As you can see, I'm super excited tonight, super excited to talk about this subject. We are on week 2 talking about managing marriage and mental health. Managing marriage and mental health. This is a very, very, very important topic. This is something that I don't see talked about a lot. I'm not saying we don't talk about it, but I don't see it being talked about a lot. So if you're here, let me know you're here. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Are you in North Carolina, South Carolina, Philly, New York, Jersey, Florida? Where are you in the world? How are you doing out there with everything that's going on with COVID-19? You know, how's everything going with your marriage? Let me know. I'm checking in with you guys because I want to know how you are doing. I'm looking at Instagram and I'm looking at you guys. Instagram, I should have probably, you know what? I should have put you in front of me. It might be too late. Hold on, guys. Let me try to do some. Oh. Hold on, Insty. Hold on. Let me know. Raleigh, North Carolina. I see you. Who else is out there? Let me know where you are. Hold on, guys. This is so... I'm doing the most. Oh, okay. Raleigh, North Carolina. I see you. So I don't have to keep looking over. Let me just put it in front of me so I can just look in front of me. That makes sense, right? Okay. All right. That's better. So you can look at me while I'm... Okay. All right. Raleigh, North Carolina, marriage is great. Awesome, Kim. Are you working from home? I know you're in the medical field. I know you're an essential employee, but I don't know if you're working from home or have some days off or what's going on with that. Welcome to my replay viewers. You're seeing me get all my technology stuff together. Excuse me while I get my crap together tonight. Okay, guys. So this is take two. I woke up like this. I woke up like, okay. All right. So anyways, as I was saying, because I did a whole 10-minute video and it didn't, you couldn't hear me. So now I'm hyped up because I really want to get this material out here. So when we talk about mental health, there's a disparity when it comes to mental health, and us as a community, especially an African American community, talking about mental health, mental illness. If you say the words depression or anxiety or bipolar, schizophrenia, or name any of those that are in the DSM-5, people tend to cringe, especially when it's in the Black community, and we look at it as a negative thing. And for a long time, this is how it's been looked at, how it's been viewed. And if you can remember, you may have had family members that have had certain things that may have appeared to be wrong mentally with them, and you may have just brushed it off or say, oh, he's crazy, she's crazy, or something is wrong with them. And indeed, something was wrong with them. But at the time, we didn't realize that the something that was wrong with them was that they were struggling or being challenged with a mental disorder or a mental illness. So we kind of brushed it off. And we're no longer brushing it off. I am seeing it talked about more in the African American community, just based on my social media outlets. I'm seeing it talked about more. I'm seeing Black women going to therapy. Black women are therapists. They're understanding the realization that this is real out here. And tonight, what I want to talk about is how mental health can and will impact your marriage, right? On the positive and also on the negative. And we're talking about this the entire month. So this conversation is going to continue. I want to say welcome to my replay viewers. Thank you so much for catching the replay. And I also want to say, if this message is resonating with you, please make sure you're inviting people to this community. Make sure you're inviting people to these lives, letting them know what we're talking about, what's going on. If you're learning anything, let them know. Let me know if this is helpful for you, because I want to make sure that we're learning and growing together. I want to make sure that this relationship that we have is mutually beneficial. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. Okay. So I want to just share some facts with you tonight. And I want to talk about some factors on tonight. So if you don't have your paper and pen ready, go ahead and get your paper and pen ready and make sure that you are taking notes, because I'm giving you a lot of material on tonight. So research shows that divorce or dissolution of marriage, which is the same thing as divorce, is associated with mental disorders. However, research also shows that marriage can be a good thing for mental health, but there are some buts in there. When we talk about marriage can be a good thing for mental health, that is if you have a healthy marriage. You can only imagine if someone has a toxic marriage, how that can be detrimental to someone's mental health, and how someone's mental health or the lack thereof can be detrimental to a marriage if it's not managed. So another fact, individuals with common mental disorders are at greater risk. Not only are they at greater risk of marriage dissolution, but they are also less likely to get married. And the reason that is because there are so many factors that contribute to that, which includes this diminished social engagement. Someone that is that has a mental disorder, and especially if it's not managed, if they're not taking care of that mental disorder by way of medication or other coping methods or therapy strategies that they've been provided, they will have diminished social engagement. These people don't want to engage. These people, let's say depression, because that's one common one. They want to sit home. They want to sit in the dark. You have some people that are clinically depressed, and you have some people that are functionally depressive, and they can still function and go to work. But as soon as they get home from work, they come home and don't want to be bothered. So these people typically have diminished social engagement. They have diminished social support as well. They're not around people, and they don't welcome the company. So if you're not around people, you don't welcome the company of people, then you can't, then be in a healthy marriage, and you can't contribute to that marriage. Research shows that interventions aimed at improving marital and family relationships could potentially eliminate the effect of mental disorders on these vital social ties. Okay, so we want to make sure, if you're in a place right now, you do have, or think you may have, or even your spouse may have a mental disorder, check your social engagement level and your social support levels to see if those things are being impacted. Okay. Also, facts, scientists have amassed a considerable amount of evidence showing that married individuals enjoy better mental health than people that never married or previously married. So again, marriage has can be a great contributor to your mental health overall. However, we want to make sure that that marriage is healthy. Marriage is known to increase, a healthy marriage is known to increase psychological, social, and economical resources. And it also helps individuals avoid stressful situations. And it helps to impact relationships by improving relationships, so relationships are lasting. So again, we're talking about those individuals that have healthy marriage and how that healthy marriage can contribute to the mental state. Now, the opposite side of that is if you have an unhealthy marriage, or a toxic marriage, or an unstable marriage, or a rocky marriage, and if you have a mental disorder or mental illness, then you're in a very tough situation, and that marriage can further diminish the quality of your mental state. Okay, so there's some things that we have to take in consideration. We have our own internal problems and issues and things that we struggle with, each and every one of us. We have external problems. Right now, the external problem that we're all in the midst of, or external issue, the environmental issue, is COVID-19. And then you have the well-being of the person. Let's talk about COVID-19 for just a minute. This crisis is affecting everybody differently, right? Awesome. This crisis is affecting everybody differently. It's impacting everyone differently. And we have to make sure that even in the midst of a world crisis, which is an external problem, which is something we have absolutely no control over, that we're taking care of our mental health, right? For ourselves and also for our marriages as well. So how do you do that in the midst of a world crisis? How do you make sure that you're mentally well, mentally sound when all of these things are going on? There are a number of things that you can do, including self-care and showing yourself self-love. Or one of the biggest things that you can do in the midst of this that's still going on. Those that are married, making sure that you are taking advantage of that relationship with your spouse, making sure that you are contributing to that marital relationship. Make sure that you are connecting and bonding and having that social support. Remember that social support is one of those things that improves the quality of life, improve the quality of your marriage, and includes the quality of your mental health. So marriage and health are usually explained by different marital resources. And I'm going to talk about a few of those on tonight. So one resource we'll talk about is economic. We'll talk about social, psychological, and relationship stability on tonight. And here is what we must consider. We must consider that, we'll talk about selection on tonight too. We must consider that all of these things can and will impact your marital status and also your mental health status. I'm going to say that again. All of these areas that I'm going to talk about and share will and can impact your marital status and your mental health status. So some research has shown that at least part of the association between marriage and mental health is a result of selection. No, I don't want my thing to go off. Hold on, guys. Deliver quietly. Okay. It's probably going to go off, but it's all good. Hello. Okay. In other words, married people do not have better mental health because they are married. Rather, they have better mental health because of the person that they married. So it depends on the person that you married. So I'm going to pause for the cause. Tonight, Patty, how are you doing? We're talking about managing marriage and mental health. This is our Friday Night Live segment. We have Friday Night Live every Friday at 8 p.m., normally on our Facebook page and my Facebook group. I've started going live on Instagram. I'm talking to my Instagram followers right now, you guys. Started going live on Instagram like last week and trying to test all of this out and see how this works. So let's pause for the cause and let's talk about the person that we married, because this is important. Now, this is not a license to go get divorced. This is not saying divorce or anything like that. This is just saying really take a hard and fast look, or hard long look, at a hard slow look at the person that you married and see if this person is contributing or taking away when it comes to your mental well-being. Depressed and unhappy people they're not motivated to find spouses. And even if they are, they're probably not the most appealing when it comes to a marital relationship or in a marital match, because again, these people typically they're disengaged. They're social. They're not in a socially supportive circle. Oh gosh, the wind out there is crazy, y'all. It scared me just now. They're socially disengaged. So we have to look at, you guys, the wind is crazy. I'm sorry I'm getting distracted by that, but it sounds like a storm out there. So we have to consider this when we're seeking a marital partner, and we have to consider this with the partner that we are in right now. Or for those that are married and challenged with depression or unhappiness currently, or any type of moodiness or anything of that nature, it is extremely difficult for these individuals to add value to the marriage unless they seek resources. So we need resources. What's these resources that we need? Not only we need spiritual resources. That's just one resource. Something that you will always hear me say is that in order for you to be better, in order for your marriage to be better, you have to be better. So same thing as Gandhi said for years, right? You be the change that you want to see, or you be the change that you want to become. Spirituality is just one resource that you have to add value, not only to your marriage, but also to add value to your mental health and your mental wellness. There are other resources and tools that you can take advantage of that will contribute to that as well. One of those things can be counseling, coaching, mentoring, different coping mechanisms that are coping methods that you can implement and employ to help you, different things like walks on the park. Water is a calming mechanism, by the river, by the ocean, things of that nature. Reading, self-love, self-care, all of those things are tools and resources. So that's one thing, the selection. So just start thinking about the selection. From my single men are here that are watching by way of Instagram. Start thinking about the selection when you think about wanting to get married and your desire for that. Okay. The second thing is your social economic differences. Marriages is typically thought to increase economic resources because two people get married, you have two incomes, right? So it can benefit you there. However, economic resources can also be diminished as it is right now in some homes because we are in the midst of a crisis. So we have some individuals that are not working. Some may be on some level of unemployment where they're getting maybe a third or even half of what they were getting on their job. So that's taking away from the quality of how they're able to live per se. So just imagine that. And then imagine you dealing with a mental illness or your spouse dealing with a mental illness, in addition to the crisis, in addition to somebody getting laid off. How do you cope with that? There are things that you will have to do in order to be able to cope with that, so that won't have an overall negative impact on the marriage relationship. So economic resources, it does reduce depression. Why? Because when you have the economic resources or the finances, if you would, to be able to get the medication, to get the care, to get the coaching, to get the therapy or whatever it is that you need, then that will help the overall quality of the marriage. Okay. Parenthood is another factor that we have to look at. Many of you have children, many of you have small children. And although we know that children are a blessing, children can indeed diminish the mental health of their parents. And these things are stronger for those who are not married, single moms, right? I was a single mom. So you got a single mom who is dealing with the children. She's dealing with work. She's dealing with school. She's dealing with her own stressors and things of that nature. She's dealing with whoever and whatever, right? And the fact that she's single, and the fact that, the father decided to leave, just so many other things. And, coming up even on Mother's Day, you have a lot of women that are still holding resentment and bitterness and anger against their husband, ex-boyfriend, because of them having to raise their children on their own. So we got to think about all this. So the negative effect of children is usually explained by a role strain. They feel strained in that role because they're trying to balance work and balance family and balance life. And then the money is not there for a lot of those people, especially when you have multiple children. With one or two children, it may be doable. But when you have 5, 6, 7 children and you don't have the income that you desire or that you need to take care of that children, that can have a bearing on your mental health in the single parenthood stage. But even in the marriage, because again, we're in the midst of a world crisis, and you may be out of work, or your husband may be out of work, your wife may be out of work, and that one income is not doing it. So now you have the children, you have life, you have work, you have the children, you have the crisis, you have all these things going on. So we have to pay attention to all of these contributing factors that can either impact the marital relationship positively or negatively, impact our mental health positively or negatively. Okay. Then we look at the relationship stability, the overall stability of the relationship. Since relationship dissolution may harm mental health, relationship stability, and may explain positive effects of marriage on mental health. So we got to look at, is your relationship stable? I said this in the beginning. This is attributed to, if you have a healthy marriage, then that healthy marriage can be a positive impact, a positive qualifying factor on your mental health. But if you have a negative marriage, then the opposite is true. So relationship stability may help explain a positive effect of marriage on young adults' mental health, but it would likely suppress a negative effect. So those are things that we got to look at. And then I want to take one more look at the psychological resources. Marriage may provide a number of psychological benefits, as I stated before. Marriage may provide enhanced feelings of meaning and purpose. Okay, let me back up. It's not that marriage gives you meaning, right? Because you should already know who you are before you get married, but I know a lot of times that's not true. So marriage helps to improve. What marriage does is it adds to what's already there. In some cases, if you're in a bad marriage, it can take away from what's not there and what needs to be there. So marriage should add to what is already there. So marriage should provide enhanced feelings of meaning and purpose. It should improve sense of self and sense of mastery. It should heighten your sense of mastery of whatever it is that you're desiring to do. It should push you further into that thing. So we're just going to pause for a moment, and I'm going to ask you the question. If these things that I've just shared, the psychological resources, the relationship stability, the parenthood, socioeconomic differences, and the selection, are these things that you are challenged with? currently in your marriage, or can you see how these things can and will not only impact the quality of the marriage, but also impact the quality of your mental health? And if you're in any of these situations right now, are you able to now see the connection of your mental health status in your marriage? I know I said a lot right there, but talk back to me. Are you able to see that? Because it's important that we're able to see the correlation and we're able to make the connection so we can know how to manage. We must know how to manage those areas. Okay. Absolutely. It adds to what's already there. So something I've been saying lately is that you can't give what you ain't got. And too often in a marriage, we're trying to give what we want or what we feel that we need, but we don't have it ourselves. Yes, Black men are learning to deal with themselves. Well, I'm just kidding. Hey, Leona. Hey, guys. So you can't give what you don't have. So it's important for us to make sure that we are taking care of our mental well-being so that we can give that to the marriage. So what does all this mean, right? Mental health is better when you're in a healthy marriage. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Poor social support is strongly linked to depression. So if you don't have a support system, or you don't have a healthy support system, it's linked to depression, isolation, loneliness, and poor outcomes, health outcomes overall. So I'm going to share just 5 things with you all, 5 more things that you can do to 5 things that you will know, not what you can do. These are 5 things that you need to know that will bring quality to your life if you are in a good state mentally and if your marriage is in a good state. So 5 things that your mental health, your mental well-being will do for the overall marriage, and vice versa. Because in this instance, we're talking about marriage being good and adding to your mental health. And we're talking about your mental health adding to or being good for your marriage. So here are 5 ways that marriage can add value to your mental health and how your mental health can add value to your overall marriage. Y'all ready? Let's get it. You are much happier. You are much happier. There are so many studies out there that shows that couples that make time for one another are more happier. So if you are less anxious, less stressed, and less depressed, you can add that happiness to what's already there. Not that you are the creator of happiness, because you both should have that internally, but you could add to it. And if the marriage is in a happier state, it can add happiness to what's already in that individual that may struggle with any mental disorder, or just the person that needs, adding to their mental health. You don't have to be struggling with the mental disorder. So I want to put that out there. You don't have to be struggling with the mental disorder. You don't have to have a mental disorder or illness. Mental health is for all of us. All of us have to take care of our mental health, whether or not we've been diagnosed with an actual mental disorder. Okay, so I just want to lay that on the line. So if you and your spouse are having date night regularly, even in the midst of COVID-19, having date nights and talking, communicating, getting together, making sure that you are connecting emotionally, mentally, physically, you're in a happier state. You're in a happier state. So make sure, if that's you on here and you are married, make sure that you are doing these things regularly and boosting your intimacy level. This is not sex, although that's important, but this is your intimacy level, your closeness, your bonding, your connection. Number 2, you have better sleep patterns. Why is this? Because research shows that, even if you're in the bed with somebody, you're tossing and turning, even if you're getting close to that person and cuddling for about 10 minutes before you drift off to sleep, there is a chemical that's released called oxytocin, right? So one reason of this is because it's released. This hormone is released, and this hormone is normally associated with sexual intimacy, but is also released during physical acts of intimacy, such as holding hands, cuddling, kissing, and things of that nature. So these things can contribute to the overall quality of your sleep, better sleep, you're happier, he's happier, or she's happier, and we're all happier. But not all of these things act as a strong relation to your overall marital satisfaction, but they can improve, lower stress, increase trust, and make you and your spouse more likely to stay faithful to one another because you're more committed to each other. Okay. Number 3, social support. We talked about that already. Your spouse can easily be that person that you talk to, that you can confide in, that you gravitate to for love and support and connection. Support contributes to good mental health. Somebody said that. Somebody post that for me. Support contributes to good mental health. When you have a support system, when you have support around you, that contributes to your overall mental health. There is so much support in relationships that studies have already shown that if you are in a supportive relationship and if you have support around you, these things can even help you recover from different medical procedures and things that you have. There was a University of Rochester, and their study suggests that happily wedded patients who underwent invasive surgery were more likely to be alive after 15 years than single counterparts. 15 years versus single people. So that social support factor is the truth, y'all. Okay. Number 4, it decreases depressive symptoms and depression. So when you have a healthier marriage, it decreases depressive symptoms and depression. Research shows that married men are less likely to develop a severe mental illness than single men. This is often attributed to the lower risk of depression commonly associated with a happy marriage. So when your marriage is happy, when your marriage is healthy, when your marriage is thriving, when your marriage is winning, you also take care of your mental health. It's like you get a 2 for 2, right? You get a win-win. How awesome is that? And then number 5, it lowers or decreases stress levels. There was a report that was published by the University of Chicago, and it found that long-term relationships can actually alter your hormones and decrease your stress. Isn't that awesome? So these are all the benefits that you and I have access to. These are things that we can contribute to the marriage. These are things that we can give to the marriage. These are things that the marriage overall can give to us, because you have the husband and you have the wife and you have the marriage relationship. So we both are individuals and we're giving to that marriage relationship. And if we're both committed to giving these things to the marriage relationship, not only are we in a better state of mind, and we have better quality of mental health, but we also have a better quality marriage. And that's what we're aiming for. We're aiming to have a winning marriage. However, in order to have a winning marriage, we have to deal with all of these things, external problems, remember that, internal problems, and our overall well-being, and making sure that all of those areas that I talk about, your psychological sources, your economic, your parenthood, the person that you married, all of these things play a role in our ability to have a winning marriage. And they also play a role in our ability to have a quality state of mind, or quality health, okay? Mental health. So that's all I have for y'all tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the segment. Again, if these lessons have been a blessing to you, if you've enjoyed coming on week after week, if you've enjoyed being a part of this group, go ahead and let people know what we're doing here. Let them know about these amazing classes and resources that you all have had an opportunity to be a part of. Don't keep this to yourself. Don't let the Wives Who Win Learning Center be the best kept secret. Make sure you're letting people know what we're doing. We're learning, we're growing, because it's all about, listen, if you want to experience outward manifestation, you have to experience inward transformation. You cannot have external manifestation without internal transformation. It is absolutely impossible. And I'm going to be hosting, I want to do like a one-day, it won't be a one day, a couple hours class in a couple weeks. I really want to do that on the vision, so we can create the vision for our marriage for 2020. I really want to do that. So just be looking out for some stuff there. I'm going to be answering questions. So listen, if you guys have any questions, I have a post in the group, and the post just basically says, what are your struggles in marriage? I have that post. And then I also have a post that says, ask me anything. Ask me anything. And I will pick some responses. I would pick some questions to provide some responses. So make sure you guys are posting under those messages in the group so that I can do these videos and I can share them with you. I want to be able to help you. I want to be in a position to provide whatever support that I have, whatever tools I have. I wanted to be able to provide those to you. Tomorrow, I'm going to do a video on dealing with your past, the past of your baggage and brokenness. Somebody posted that, dealing with my own past of baggage and brokenness. And this first step in that is self-forgiveness. Oh my God. I'm going to hammer that down. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. We're going to talk about self-forgiveness tomorrow. How do I forgive myself? Because you can't forgive other people until you forgive yourself. So we got to talk about that, because I don't want people to operate in a place of shame and guilt and not able to give to themselves first and then to their marriage, because they're carrying around all this baggage and these burdens and all of these things that are holding them down. The past is the past, but sometimes we got to go back in the past and we got to deal with some things before we can move forward in the future. So that's what I want to help that young lady to do. Sometimes you got to break loose some things and you got to break away from some things in your past so that you can then contribute to your promising future and you can contribute to the marriage overall, because your marriage is only as good as who? You can only give what? Okay, your marriage is only as good as you. You can only give what you have. You can't give what you ain't got, right? You can't give what you ain't got. And that's happening too often. So, all right, you ladies, you gentlemen, thank you so much for chiming in for Friday Night Live. We are here every Friday at 8 p.m. and the Wives Who Win Learning Center on Facebook, hey, on Instagram as well. We're here to encourage, we're here to support, but most of all, we're here to help you to transform, to help you get your crap together so that you and your spouse can build a winning marriage, so that you can be in a position to improve communication and maximize intimacy, so that you can experience transformative change. This is about transformative change. What do we need to do as individuals? What do I need to do in my own life? This is not about my husband. This is not about my wife. This is about me. What do I need to do in here? What's going on in here? What's going on in here that I need to take care of so that I can show up more bold, I can show up more radical, I can show up more confident, I can show up more courageous, and I can give to instead of taking away from. So this is your girl, Terrell Ravenel, and I am out. Peace. Talk to you soon. Bye, y'all. You're welcome.